Welcome to the Compound Sentences mini lesson. In this lesson, we'll break down exactly what makes a sentence compound. You'll learn how to spot independent clauses and how to use coordinating conjunctions, and even how a semicolon can join two complete sentences. We'll look at examples and practice together, and you'll get a chance to try it on your own. But by the end, you'll know how to write strong, compound sentences that make your writing clear and powerful. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take note of the important vocabulary terms that you need to know in order to understand what makes a sentence compound and how to identify its parts. So what is a compound sentence exactly? You've heard this word compound. We had it in our last lesson with compound predicate and compound subjects. And if you remember correctly, that's when we had two or more people or things doing an action or one person doing two actions. But the idea is there was more than one. And that's kind of going to be helpful for you with compound sentences because it's a sentence that has two or more independent clauses that are joined together by a conjunction or a semicolon. And that's a lot of fancy words coming at you, but don't worry, we're going to break them down in this lesson. First, we have an independent clause. And so you already know what an independent clause is. You just don't know you know. You're smarter than you think you are. So a clause is a fancy way to say a group of words. And this contains a subject, a predicate, and it forms a complete thought. If you're sitting here thinking, hey, isn't that the same thing as a simple sentence? Yes, you are correct. An independent clause is the same thing as a simple sentence. It's a group of words with a subject and predicate and one complete thought. So you're already ahead of the game. We already know something for compound sentences. In compound sentences, we also use things called coordinating conjunctions. And I like this little image here of the links because that's what a coordinating conjunction is. It's a special set of words that connects independent clauses. So instead of having two separate independent clauses, we can join them together with something we call a coordinating conjunction. I have a little pro tip here for you. You're going to use the acronym FANBOYS to help you remember these special words, to help you remember the coordinating conjunctions. So these are my fanboys, and I like to imagine them as they love independent sentences, and they want to bring them together. So if you look at their little t-shirts here, one says 2 clauses, 1 team. The middle one says, I love independent clauses. And the final one says, we're stronger, all connected. Because these fanboys love to bring independent clauses together to make compound sentences. That's their whole goal in life, I feel like. So what does FANBOYS mean? What does this stand for? So this is an acronym that we can use to remember our coordinating conjunctions. F stands for, A, and, then we have nor, but, or, yet, so. And these are just the coordinating conjunctions that are used to join independent clauses together. So we use these words to join two sentences together. When we link two independent clauses together, so when we link two sentences together with a conjunction, we now have a, get ready for it, dun 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 dun, compound sentence. How exciting is that? So we know to make a compound sentence, we take two independent clauses or two simple sentences and we join them together with one of these fancy fanboys, also known as a conjunction. Let's look at an example here. I have two sentences. I filmed a TikTok dance, and then I have the sentence, my dog stole the spotlight. So I have two independent clauses there. Our goal now is to make this into a compound sentence. How do we do that? Well, we just learned we use a coordinating conjunction to link these up, to join them together. So look at your fanboys list. What fanboy do we want to use here? Maybe you said the word but. That's the one I wanted to use. So now my sentence reads, I filmed a TikTok dance, comma, but my dog stole the spotlight. So what we have here, right here, is now a compound sentence. Look, we took two independent clauses, joined it together with a conjunction, and now we have a compound sentence. Two independent clauses, conjunction. What do we have, friends? A compound sentence. We are fancy sentence writers now. Let's look at another example. The restaurant ran out of Coke. I drank Dr. Pepper. All right, our goal here is to make this into a compound sentence. What do we need? If you said fanboys, you are correct. We need a coordinating conjunction. Let's see which one I picked and see if it's the one that you would pick as well. I picked the word so. Now I use the word so, that coordinating conjunction, to link these two independent clauses together. And now what do I have? A compound sentence. The restaurant ran out of Coke, so I drank Dr. Pepper. Wow, that was fun, right? Who doesn't love making compound sentences? Let's keep moving. What about that comma there? Like, where do we put a comma? Do I even need a comma in a compound sentence? Yes. Yes, when you are joining two independent clauses together, you're going to put the comma before the coordinating conjunction. Look right here at the example. I love cats, comma, but my grandfather is allergic. Let's look back at the other ones. Do you see the commas here? We always put the comma before the conjunction when joining two sentences together. Yay! So let's try this now. You're going to combine these clauses together with a coordinating conjunction. You're going to hit the pause, and then I want you to use those independent clauses and join them with the fanboys or a coordinating conjunction. Hit pause now. If you have a worksheet, do it on your worksheet. If you don't, do it on your notebook paper. Let's check this. So we combined our independent clauses with the coordinating conjunction. So number one, I tripped in the hall, comma, but I acted like nothing happened. Make sure you have that comma there. You can circle it on your paper, and then you can highlight your conjunction. Number two, I wanted to scroll, comma, so I hid in my room. Circle your comma, highlight your conjunction. If you don't have anything to circle, guess what? You forgot your comma. Number three, the teacher gave us extra time, comma, but no one took advantage of it. Circle that comma, highlight your conjunction. Make sure you have it there. Number four, Marie dropped her book bag, comma, and her sentence notes went everywhere. Make sure you circle your comma, highlight your conjunction. And number five, the bell rang, yet everyone was sad to leave class. That happens all the time, right? So let's circle our comma, highlight our conjunction. If you have commas and conjunctions and you join these two sentences together, you just made 5 compound sentences, and that is amazing. Great job. I want you to be cautious, though. Be cautious. Caution, everyone. Just because there's a conjunction doesn't mean the sentence is compound. And just because there's a conjunction doesn't mean you need a comma. You got to think, what is the purpose of the conjunction? The conjunction in a compound sentence joins two sentences together. So here's our pro tip. If you're asking yourself, do I need a comma before the conjunction? Determine if the conjunction is being used to join two sentences together, two independent clauses together. If it is, use a comma. If it's not, no comma is needed. Yay! Let's practice this. So I have 4 little examples here, 4 sentences. So if you're doing this on your paper, you can just pause right here. And then what I want you to do is write the number of the sentence that goes in each one. So for example, if you think number 1 is a compound sentence, you'll write a number 1 in this column. If you think the simple sentence, if number 1 is a simple sentence, you will write it right here. Or on your paper, you can number it 1, 2, 3, 4 and tell me if it's simple or compound. All right, so let's pause the video and go ahead and determine if these are simple or compound. We're back, and here are the answers right here. So let's talk this through. Why are these compound and not simple? Look, the bell rang, the students bolted to the lunchroom. Those are 2 independent clauses that we joined together with the conjunction. Same thing here. The author used vivid imagery to describe the setting. And then we also have the reader could clearly visualize the scene. Those are 2 independent clauses joined together with a conjunction. By independent clause, we mean there's a subject and a predicate. Now let's look over here on this side. I like peanut butter and marshmallow sandwiches. Yes, it has the word and here. It has a coordinating conjunction. but that conjunction is not being used to join two sentences together. I like peanut butter. Great. That's a simple sentence. Marshmallow sandwiches on the other side of the conjunction right here. Marshmallow sandwiches, not a complete sentence, not a simple sentence, not an independent clause. All those words are synonymous. So because this is not an independent clause or a simple sentence, this is not compound. Look right here. The scientists collected data and organized it in detailed charts. So we have scientists and collected data. That's a sentence. Subject, predicate. Let's look on the other side of the conjunction. Organized it in detailed charts. Well, if you get rid of the first part, if you're just looking at this sentence, organized it in detailed charts, then we don't have a subject here. So therefore, this is not a complete sentence, so it's still simple. Your tip here is to look on either side of the conjunction. It has to be what we consider an independent clause / simple sentence. Those things mean the same. It has to be an independent clause on one side and an independent clause on the second side. That means if I pull that sentence out and had it by itself, it would make sense. You wouldn't need any more information. Here we are, friends. We're going to practice this. So I have 5 examples here for you, and you're going to determine, does it need a comma? So therefore, you're asking yourself, is it a simple sentence or is it a compound sentence? If it's a compound sentence, remember you use the comma before the conjunction. I want you to click pause, and you can either put a check mark or an X if you think you need the comma before the conjunction. All right, we're back. Let's check it out. Number 1, she grabbed her backpack and ran to the bus. She grabbed her backpack. Great. That's a sentence. If we look on the other side of the conjunction, ran to the bus, if we pulled that out by itself, and I just said to you, ran to the bus, you would say, who ran to the bus? Exactly. We're missing a subject, so therefore it's not a simple sentence, and there we do not need a comma. Remember, you only need a comma if you're joining two simple complete sentences together. Number 2, the teacher smiled. Perfect. That's a simple sentence. Let's look at the next part. Waved at the students. If I just took that sentence out and said waved at the students, you would say, who waved at the students? And I would say, oh, exactly. I'm missing a subject. So therefore, this second part, not a complete sentence, so we don't need a comma. Okay, let's look at this one. The power flickered. Yes, we have power, subject, flickered, predicate. Perfect. Let's look on the other side of the conjunction. The Wi-Fi disconnected. So we have our subject, we have predicate. Ding, ding, ding. Look, we're combining two simple sentences here. So yes, we need a comma. Number 4. The cat jumped on the table. That happens all the time at my house, and we have to take it off. Anyway, the cat jumped on the table. Cat jumped. We have subject, predicate. We're good right here. Let's look on the other side of the conjunction. It knocked off my water glass. Knocked is my predicate. It is my subject here, even though it's like it is my subject here. So we have subject, predicate, We have two complete sentences being joined together by and. So guess what we need? A comma. I washed the dishes and cleaned the counters. Let's check. I washed the dishes. That's a simple sentence. Perfect. Subject, predicate. If we took this part out, cleaned the counters. That's great. I'm so happy you cleaned the counters. I'm so happy the counters are clean, but who cleaned them? We're missing a subject here, so this is not a simple sentence. So I washed the dishes and cleaned the counters. So this second part is not a complete thought. It's missing a subject, so it does not need a comma. Wow. If you could get that down, you are doing great. The key thing, are we joining two sentences together? Yes, then you need a comma. All right, one more thing we have to learn. There's something called a semicolon. Semicolon looks like this. It's like a period with a comma underneath it. And this is kind of a little special thing. It's kind of fancy. We don't really use it much. But I want you to know it's another way to join independent clauses to make compound sentences. What's really cool about the semicolon is that it's super strong because you can join two independent clauses without a conjunction. It takes the place of the comma and the conjunction. That's super impressive in my book. So here's an example. The restaurant ran out of pizza. We ordered tacos instead. So instead of saying comma and we ordered tacos instead, we kicked that to the curb and we just used a semicolon. All right, that is it. Now, if you would like this in your classroom, if you want the mini lesson that goes with this, the fill in the blank notes, the practice worksheet, the link to the digital practice, and the quiz, all of that is available in the description below. You can get it on Teachers Pay Teachers or ELA Unlimited, which is where you can find all these lessons for one low price. So I would check that out. If you have any questions, let me know. If you're a student, great job. I'm so proud of you for making it this far. You're going to be writing amazing sentences with commas in the correct place. How exciting is that? All right, I'll talk to you next time when we talk about complex sentences. Bye.